Welcome, friends, to the first ever Latino Slant Substack live. How is everyone doing? I hope you guys are well for Friday, December 12th. Wow. Wow. Um, we just started our Substack maybe 30 days ago or less. 22 of you guys have subscribed. We have 2 paying members. Thank you guys so much. And if you know me, you know that we are on YouTube with over 14,000 subscribers. And what we're doing here is slowly migrating all our content over from our website and adding. And this, in a way, is adding to the unique content that we're going to have on Substack, where we kind of like go more into the woods on Latino entertainment here in the States. So, hope you guys are doing well. I have connected the story that I'm going to read from. I'm still trying to figure this out. I see there's a lot that they don't offer in regards to sharing on the screen. So right now, I'm just going to read a story and we'll talk about it, react together. And I did in the live chat include the Variety article. So let's get to it. Benicio Del Toro on one battle after another, Latino representation, directing Aspirations and Wanting to host SNL. This is by Clayton Davis. As you guys know, it's like the biggest movie during this award season right now. I was not a fan of the movie, but that doesn't matter because a lot of you guys are. And globally, but over $200 million. That's probably one of the best for a Paul Thomas Anderson film. It also stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Chase Infinity, Sean Penn, Tiana Taylor. So really incredible cast of actors. So let's get to this article and see what Benicio is talking about. 24 years after winning his Oscar for Traffic, Benicio Del Toro is back in the awards conversation with a performance that reminds us of why he's one of the most compelling actors of his generation. In Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, Del Toro plays Sensei, a character whose quiet dignity and unwavering optimism provide the film's emotional anchor amid chaos and uncertainty. When Anderson called, the answer was simple. It's PTA, Del Toro says, matter-of-factly. He calls any actor on the planet, and they're going to say, yeah, what do you got? Whatever, I'll do it. The prospect of working alongside DiCaprio and Penn only sweetened the deal. However, what truly informed Del Toro's performance was the research. The production visited facilities in El Paso where migrant families wait in limbo, uncertain of their futures. It was pretty moving seeing these people, what appears to be good people looking for a better future, being stuck in a situation that is pretty unstable and not knowing what their future would be. Del Toro recalls that research that we did just made it feel real for everybody, for the set director, for the art department, for the director, and me. A little curious because, he won the Academy Award for playing a Tijuana cop that dealt with a lot of these issues in regards to the drug cartels, undocumented workers going across the border. I would say that, yeah, that's kind of like, did my research on Selena and went to go back and listen to her music. I mean, it seems to me that unless he's been hiding in a barrel, that he would have been familiar with these issues, detention centers and whatnot. I mean, that's just me. That's just me. I could be totally off base, but um, if that's the case, good for him that he went down there. I don't know what kind of access they had. I don't know what they were allowed to really see and who they were allowed to talk to in regards to detention centers, holding undocumented people, whether they're granted amnesty or being sent back. I don't know how any of that works, or what center that they went to in El Paso. But those are just some thoughts I have right there. Anderson gave Del Toro a piece of direction that became a mantra for the character and philosophy for life. Get back on defense, the phrase which Del Toro remembers from working with the auteur on Inherent Vice. It eventually made its way into the script. Don't get bogged down on things, Del Toro explains. Just keep looking, being. Think about the next play. He's a next play type of character, director, always looking ahead. I think that's healthy for actors to be like that. Try your best, but you can be stuck on something you did. You need to learn to let it go real quick just because tomorrow's another day. Yeah, that's good advice, especially when you're dealing with the creative. Don't hold on to something. Don't hold on to it. Be flexible, be pliable. It's good for actors for sure. As one of only a handful of Latino actors to win an Academy Award, and with Latinas having just won 3 times in history, Del Toro has a unique perspective on representation in Hollywood. While he acknowledges there's more opportunity now than when he started, he's frank about what's missing. Okay, before I go into this, I'm always curious as to how this question is asked, or and in this case, is it a thing where Davis sent these questions and Del Toro answered them back, or was this a conversation recorded? Context is everything. Because if it's kind of a one-on-one in your face conversation, that is way more telling than I'm going to email you questions. Hey, how do you feel about representation nowadays here in Hollywood? Is it better? I mean, anyone can say, and most people agree, it's gotten a lot better. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of stereotypes being promoted, wrong. I think there's just Hollywood has a love affair with showing the same type of Latino dilemma, predicament in films, and this is evident in one battle after another, which is why I'm not a fan of it. Right, but a lot more Latinos are in, and we're talking studio films, major studio films in the US. We're not talking about independent film. We're not talking about films from other countries. We're talking about homegrown US Latinos and their stories on screen. So, okay, now let's get into what he has to say. I still haven't seen a Latino movement, he admits. There was an African-American movement with Spike Lee, Denzel Washington, and Don Cheadle. There's a lot of filmmakers, and it's amazing. The Italian-American story has been told. Latino is somewhat different. Wow. I mean, I almost totally disagree with him. There was a real nice movement of U.S. Latino films in the 80s through the 90s that was really strong. La Bamba, Selena, Born in East LA, El Norte, Blood In, Blood Out, Mi Familia, and strong Latino storylines in other films as well. Carlitos Way, the Perez family, whether they're played by Latino actors or not that were mixed in, that was really a strong movement. Robert Rodriguez, El Mariachi, that Benicio was in one of Rodriguez's films. So it's kind of odd for him to say that because it did exist. The question is, what happened to those filmmakers? Gregory Nava, Stand and Deliver director Menendez, who else? Melendez, I believe. Who else? Luis Valdez. Patricia Regan is directing. She did La Misma Luna, but a strong movement. These directors, what happened to the promises that Hollywood made? So there was a movement. And for him to say there wasn't, and then he's comparing it to, he gives examples of Spike Lee and Denzel Washington, Don Cheadle. Like I said, we had Luis Valdez, we had Edward James Olmos, we had Jimmy Smits. We still have them. I'm just saying they were all doing movies together and some great films. So I think for him to say that is really kind of just I don't know what audience he's talking to, but that's simply not the case. And he was kind of on the fringes of that because at that time he was doing a Bond film, he was doing a Usual Suspects. He didn't do per se Latino, uh, heavy Latino films not until Traffic, which he won the Academy Award for. But let's go on. He pauses, searching sensitively for the right word. So this is in person, and continues. I'm always hoping there's more opportunity and these more and there's more stories. I don't think I don't think we're there when it comes to stories of the Hispanic story in the United States. That includes Puerto Rico. Every different Latinos that live, whether it's in Florida, Chicago, California, New York, Texas, New Mexico, there's lots of Latinos in this country. Okay, well, that's a lot. And you know, in a way he's wrong, and in a way he's right. There are he's right in the sense of there's just so many stories to tell. Uh, whether whether that is in America, right? That's in the United States of America from the Latino perspective, historical to nonfiction. There's great stories to tell. So in a way, he's correct because, like I told you, Hollywood continues to tell one story, and that is really of the victim, the undocumented worker, the underrepresented. Whereas an ascension of something different really hasn't been done. It's done very rarely. Let me give you an example. There's a movie called Babylon, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and starring Diego Galva. For one could argue that the movie is told through the perspective of Manuel, Diego's character, breaking into Hollywood as a movie producer in the 1920s. And his background only adds to the storyline in regards to his love affair with movie making. This is just an incredible character that really is rarely shown in U.S. cinema in regards to a person with that type of background and told on that level. And I use that example because you don't see characters like that on film. What you see more is, like I said, those stereotypes, or even the drug cartels, the gang members. You've seen a lot of those where you see this Mexican American kid in the 1920s who wants to work in movies and it becomes a Hollywood producer, which is based off of a real person. That's what I'm talking about. We have so many stories. So I do agree with that. And then there's a thing where it's so rare for studios to show those images, but it's not rare because there's so many independent Latino films being made, have been made. And we come across them here on the Latino Slant, and it's really a disservice because I'm not doing anything more than doing a little research, a few minutes of research, maybe even going on Instagram, maybe even you guys connecting with us as to new movies that are out there, documentaries, features, short films. It's almost every week we are connecting with people. So if anything, Benicio, I would say, do what Kevin Smith does and go and executive produce an independent Latino film and get it to the proper spotlight that it deserves. That's just me. Del Toro sees a potential solution, one that involves stepping behind the camera himself. I like to get behind the camera and tell a story about that. That's something I would like to do. I'm not saying that I'm that voice. That voice is right now probably in high school and they're out in college right now or about to break out. It's going to happen. It's already been happening. Alejandro Montoya Marin is been happening. Brownsville Bread has been happening. These movies are there, male and female. So you should get behind the camera and be an executive producer. You should get behind these existing filmmakers. So, and if you want to put your money where your mouth is, yeah, direct something, right? Having directed a segment in 7 Days in Havana, Del Toro feels ready himself. I've had incredible education on cinema. Yeah, this guy's been in it since the 80s. If you take everyone that I've worked with and all the projects that I've worked with, inevitably, you start feeling like, I want to maybe get behind and tell a story that comes from me, being American, being Latino, the experience of being a Latino in this time and world that we're in. Cool. I'm all for that. In a moment when the world feels increasingly fractured, Del Toro finds hope in his one battle after another character. The sensei has this thing that I feel is always positive, he shares. It's staying in that positive and keep doing your thing. Good and truth will hopefully come up and show its face and win. He draws parallels to 1968, another tumultuous time. Kids were being drafted to go to war. Leaders were being shut down permanently. You just have to keep going. I have faith in the youth, even though my daughter's stuck on a phone all the time. There's good, and we have to trust in the young people. Yeah, I mean, this fire, as I said, has always been burning. And the example that he gives is from 1968. Kids were being drafted in a very controversial war, being killed, American kids. And there was a lot of disharmony. No one's being drafted right now. And in regards to what was the other thing he said? Leaders being shut down permanently. No one's been shut down. Leaders. I think there's examples like everyone's quick to go to Jimmy Kimmel. And this is a guy that doesn't have ratings. The business is just saying you're done. And they even give him a year extension or something like that. But because he is their microphone, their loudspeaker, that's shutting down. That's a fascistic action where it's just, hey, no one watches your show. You guys are watching more YouTube, more podcasters than this. But and then he talks about his daughter being on the phone all the time. Interesting. Because there is there is a way for Benicio to connect to the world, and that's through his daughter and seeing what's going on. Maybe he does. I don't know. I'm just going off of what's stated here. That and what the writer is saying that times are so, what's the word he used? Fractured? When the world feels increasingly fractured. So I already have disagreements there. But again, that's me. As Del Toro prepares for his next role, he's shooting another film in January. He's also laying groundwork for that directorial debut, ready to tell the Latino American story that still hasn't been told. For now, though, he's saving the response one battle after another, and the character embodies resilience in dark times. The worst thing would be to quit, Del Toro says. You can't quit. And that's read the excerpts from the interview below, which is edited to condense for clarity. So here is the I'm getting the article now. What we read was a summarized version of what we're seeing, which is the Q&A part. And if this is in person, because Davis, the writer, says, seeing him think sensitively, then what this is the transcribe. They actually did recording. So, okay, so that's the context. Got it. What made you say yes to Paul Thomas Anderson? What did it mean for you personally to see the refugee families depicted in the film? Did it feel realistic? And we talked about his answer. And all this is really everything we talked about, from representation. Do you have an itch to direct? Filmmakers. Is there a filmmaker you haven't worked with who's on your bucket list? Oh, you didn't. Scorsese, Spielberg, Spike Lee, Catherine Bigelow, Coen Brothers, Tarantino. Actually auditioned for Reservoir Dogs. Ah. So then you appeared on a Bad Bunny SNL episode, but haven't hosted. Are you open to it? There are a lot of things I haven't done. I have to save something for later, but I love SNL. Doing that episode was a lot of fun. So yes, maybe one day. All right. I mean, I've always loved and respected Benicio's work because he is a chameleon-like actor, just like Edward James almost, and he bucked the really, kind of the Hollywood portrayals of Latinos. I bet him and Eddie said no to a lot of, what do you call it, stereotypical roles, and they waited for the right roles, from, Unusual Suspects, Stand and Deliver, etcetera, etcetera. So I really appreciate, and Benicio's done some really just awesome movies over the last 25 years, continues to do so, from Sicario to, The Reptile, that's more recent, and you can always find something very unique about his performance. Same thing with One Battle After Another. I always find him intriguing. I just didn't like what the movie was saying, but that's just me. Finally, in regards to representation, it's almost like a bad word nowadays, and he wants to do one where he talks about an American Latino story. I say do that 100%. It's a lot of work, Benicio. So what I would actually suggest is that you get behind a young director like a Alejandro, like Brownsville Bred, someone who has a couple films under the belt, and you're like, I like this kid. Let me get behind him, like even Longoria has done uh, with some of his stuff. So there it is. That's the article, guys. I'll have it linked here, and this is our first little endeavor on Substack. What do you guys think about this? You know, let me look at that article again. It's such a catch-22, man, because for the most part, this guy, I would love an interviewer who's interviewing someone who has, the similar background or whatever, not to ask any representation questions. Call me crazy. We had Tonan Tu, the lead actor of Kiss of the Spider Woman, on here. Didn't ask him about representation. I asked him about acting. I asked him about his craft. Asked him about his approach as an artist. Because these are actors, right? They're not politicians. They're not, maybe an executive producer in charge of whatever. That would be great for an interviewer to do that. And then it would also be great for the subject not to talk about it. Hey, don't talk to me about politics or represent. Let's talk about the work. That's just me. I want to know what you guys think. Our first ever Substack live edition. You guys take care and look out for more from here. Substack, the Latino Slant.